Okay, so the next section is the world in 2040 and the hypothetical situation where it's worse off with all these different elements. I think this is easy to answer in a sense because it's the reverse. If we can't make a post-scarcity society happen, and we don't intelligently maneuver the AI and machine systems in a way that benefits us, or all people, rather, then we're going to have a lot of problems. So I think the issue we have is that there's a lot of people in denial about what's actually happening with the climate. And we might have a situation too where it's actually irreversible. So we might have done permanent damage to the climate, and even system won't be able to help us. Then it turns into a level of how well we can live with the effects, and that might mean moving into more inland parts of the country and habitating there. The economy, it comes down to if we have still a separation of the haves and the have-nots. I think the issue could be very well that if we don't steer machine and AI into the right direction, the proliferation of automation will create a large amount of unemployment. Obviously, there will be new jobs that will come out of everything that's happening through machine and AI. But I think if we don't work towards the idea of provision for all, then we're going to have vast inequality, and a system where we have at the moment the 1% control a large percentage of the wealth. I think that ratio is going to get even thinner, and because you'll have the corporations that own the means of production, basically, and but the problem with corporations is that if they don't have consumers that can buy their products, then there's no point in having a corporation. So I think companies will have to come around to that idea that if people don't have any money, then there's no point in having wealth. Countries, I mean, we're seeing in the early stages of the 21st century, rampant nationalism. We're seeing the problems with America right now, where we're going to an extreme form of nationalism. So I think the big issue there is how information is disseminated and understood. I think the idea of nationalism could become even more hyper-sensationalized as a result of that politically. So we might have a system where we've actually got big problems with people who are clinging on to their national identity and not looking towards an idea of sort of unity. I think with housing, if we have a system where we are, facing climate change issues, we're facing those sorts of problems, and we don't sort out a form of integration with machine learning and AI, we could have vaster inequality, which will affect housing quality. There'll be more slums. We'll have more people without the ability to live, more homeless. I mean, that could very well be a possibility. Health and well-being. I think if we are in a point where that gap is vastly different, there's going to be less provision for people to actually maintain nutrition and well health. So we're going to see issues there if we can't work out that sort of way. I think what we're experiencing right now, especially in America with their health system, it's riddled with politics, and it's riddled with corporate greed. There's also a vast realpolitik in the nation around the idea of individualization or individualism, and a rejection of socialism. So I think that as people get more attached to that identity, you're going to see more and more rejection of basic healthcare because of that sort of imposition on liberty. I think with relationships, I think that the future could create more issues, especially when we have sex bots and stuff. I think there could be an issue where where people might start becoming addicted to that, and that could cause massive problems. And also virtual reality, when we start having hyper real situations that are almost as real as reality, I think that's going to create a lot of problems in relationships if we can't sort out that form of how to actually live with these new forms of technology. But I think that the wrap is that the worst world comes when we don't use the tools available to us in a way that can benefit all. And I think that comes from the suspension of the idea that any form of socialism or any form of provision for all is inherently a bad thing. I think we will suspend that. My hope is that we will suspend that as the next generation comes through. I think the next generation is far more open to the idea of providing for all. But yeah, it does come down to that element of being able to steer these tools in the right direction.